All right, good evening and welcome to the Whoopsie Gringo podcast. My name is Chris and I'm here with my two associates. First one is Brian. Brian, say hello.
Hello.
All right, and then we have Michael, who is the number one Nacional fan, who is also our editor, also our chief, also everything that we cannot do. Michael, can you say hello?
What's up, Ole Nacional?
All right, number one Nacional fan. There he is. All right, so today's our first podcast. So we're going to basically just do a quick introduction of who we are. This podcast is mainly about me and Brian and our stories. All right, like old men sitting around a campfire telling stories to young children. Except in this case, you will be the young children, and we are not even middle-aged men. But our livers are old. All right. So first, I'm going to give it to Brian. Brian, can you maybe say how we met?
Yeah, so first we were living in the great country of Costa Rica, and we were at this little place called the Sportsman's Lodge. The Sportsman's Lodge is a pretty interesting little place because it is, in fact, a whorehouse.
And you say we met in a whorehouse. That's always something good to tell them on.
We met at a whorehouse, and it might not sound like a good thing, and I guess it probably isn't, but it is in fact a good thing because it was the only place that we could watch sports, like all the sports. And this particular night, we were both wanting to watch some Monday Night Football. My friend Chris here is a big Green Bay Packers fan, and we were there at this whorehouse watching this. It's like a sports bar / whorehouse. So you're sitting there at a sports bar watching your sports, and there's whores, like prostitutes, just kind of walking around offering their services.
Yeah, I want to make it clear that we were there. We were there for the sport. We don't need a prostitute to give us any.
Well, that's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, not that it's not a great living. I mean, God bless all the prostitutes. That's fine. But we were there to watch the Packers because in Costa Rica there's about two places that have sports. It's either a whorehouse or a very expensive wings place that did have good wings. Correct? What was the name of that place?
That place, what was that place called? It was not Hooters, but it
Not
was
Hooters.
Chi-Chi's.
Chi-Chi's, yeah, which kind of sounds like the place where whores would hang out compared to the Sportsman Lounge, now that I think about it.
Yeah, so we didn't get the whores at Chi-Chi's or at the Sportsman's Lounge. We, in fact, went for the sports. And actually, the whores, we call them whores. I guess that's kind of a rude way to say it, but they were prostitutes. And
How about working women?
Working women offering services that we did not want to partake in. And they actually got a little upset with us a couple of times because we wouldn't go back. Because the Sportsman is also attached to a hotel. And
for convenience. I mean, you do see a lot of older gentlemen there. And we're going to talk about our favorite older gentleman there. He was a regular too. But we'll talk about him in a second. So you see a lot of older gentlemen there. They go to Costa Rica to go on a fishing trip. Well, that's what they tell their family. And there's actually a funny YouTube video of that. Remember that YouTube video of the guy introducing the Del Rey to his family?
Yeah, so I guess we're kind of getting off track here a little bit.
Right.
There's a lot of stories to come. So we met at this whorehouse, and that kind of started our friendship. We were both into sports, watching sports, and also ending up at really weird and interesting places. So that's why our friendship started. And from there on, we kind of traveled around Costa Rica, and we both left Costa Rica at the same time, and we ended up in Colombia in South America. And that's where we've been.
Go ahead.
No, then that's where we kind of kept our adventures going.
Right, and actually, when we met, we realized that we were both we're both from Atlanta, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta. So we met in Costa Rica to find out that we were all along about an hour away from each other. Because even when we go back to the States, we see each other. But yeah, we both got jobs in Colombia, and I think the biggest takeaway of everything was that it was a wise idea to move down to Colombia, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah, exactly. I got my fiance there. You got a lot of stuff there. You know how to dance salsa now, I would say, and very good Spanish. And that's when Michael, are you still there, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's when Michael decided that he would come and visit. You visited Costa Rica too. I remember meeting you there.
Costa Rica was probably the best time of my life, no doubt.
In Costa Rica?
Oh yeah, beautiful place.
Yeah. So beautiful place.
Beautiful people. Beautiful animals.
Exactly. And then we were
Very
in
cool.
Colombia, and then I have since moved from Colombia. You're still in Colombia, but we met up maybe a couple of weeks ago, and we decided, we've got some stories to say. So let's talk about what we want to see from the podcast. Do you want to talk about that, Brian?
Yeah. So well, you mean talk a little bit about why we decided to do it or what we're expecting with it?
Yeah, I like why.
Okay, let's go with the why. So Chris and I, as we said earlier, we like to end up in interesting situations. And we were in Valledupar, Colombia at this festival, this like big famous festival in Colombia. And we were just talking about random crazy stuff, our life, our experiences together, our experiences apart. And we figured that we might as well just document it. If anything, we can go back and listen to it together.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a book, but on tape. I know that sounds genius, but I personally am a little bit lazy. I enjoy mathematics, so writing is not my skill. Talking's a little bit better for me.
Yeah, and we thought maybe people listening can chime in, and we can invite other friends that have lived similar lives to us to come and join into the fun.
Right. So we want to do about 4 podcasts a month, and one of the podcasts is definitely going to be just maybe stories about us, like you said, having friends come on, tell maybe even the same stories that we've even told, just in their version, or just having friends on that have crazy stories that maybe have given us a preview, but listen to the whole story and then kind of jaw it out of them. Another one of our ideas is to have some experts, because we know a good deal of people that are in different professions, such as law, broadcasting, stuff like that. So we wanted to have them on and maybe ask them some questions, some conspiracy theories, stuff like that, just out in left field. And then what else, Brian?
No, it's just kind of random things we always talk about, whether it's sports, whether it's traveling, whether it's weird things that we've seen or weird things we're doing, and just kind of get it out there into the world.
Yeah, exactly. So just different cultures that we've lived in, different cultures that we want to live in, different places that we want to visit, and just some whatever people want to hear about. We can talk about it. Even if we're not experts, we definitely like to do some
Yeah,
investigating. All right?
yeah, and like I said, or like we've said, we have a pretty close friendship, and we've seen a lot and done a lot. So we hope y'all enjoy listening, and hopefully can maybe even chime in and share as time goes on.
Very good. All right, so I think what the discussion needs to be here today, Brian, is about our lack of responsibility in Colombia, because whenever me and Brian are together, well, it all started when I moved to Costa Rica. I know no Spanish. In fact, when I left Costa Rica, one of my prize things was I left knowing how to order Subway in Spanish when I was intoxicated. So for me, that was like a really big goal, because I love olives, and to know olives in Spanish is very good. I mean, I knew basic stuff, but that was a big thing. But one of the issues that I always had, and this is before I met Brian, was getting my hair cut. And so now it's kind of a tradition that whenever me and Brian see each other, we like to get futbolista haircuts. So ridiculous haircuts that look like football players. And if you don't know anything about football, there is a beautiful man named James Rodriguez who sits on the bench for Real Madrid because the coach hates him. But exactly. But he has a wonderful haircut, and we made a pact to get matching haircuts, like Jaime's, and in this place, because we were in town for the festival in this little small town called Valledupar, and we wanted to get matching haircuts, but we didn't do that, Brian.
We didn't do that.
What do you think? What do you think is your best experience when we were in Costa Rica? Your best experience getting a haircut, or do you remember our first haircut together?
Yeah, there's a few. I mean, everyone always remembers their first time, right? And I remember my first time with you.
Ooh.
And well, there's been a lot of times since then. So maybe I don't know if the first time was the best time, but it's definitely very memorable. Do you remember we were at this place called Mall San Pedro? So we would go to this mall. It's kind of a little ghetto, kind of local mall that we would go to get our haircuts on the bottom floor. And at first, we would go to these guys. Well, they're guys, but they're more like lady boys, right?
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say they prefer to be called women.
They identify, we don't know what they identify as, and we're not going to go down that road today on this podcast about identifying, but
Or probably ever, because that's a life choice other people can make. That's up to them, and I support it.
anyways, so imagine like a masculine woman or maybe a feminine man. I don't know. Either one of those is what they were.
They could probably
And
kick my ass.
yeah, and then make sweet love to you in ways you can never know. But so we would go to these lady boys and they would do a really great job. And one time we went and they were not open. Do you remember that?
I do, yeah. So
were we with our other buddy down there?
yeah, we were with our other friend, and they weren't open. We all lived in the same area. We actually after I met Brian, he told me about this. My lease was up, and he told me about this really cool area that was actually very, very local. So where I was living was a lot of expats and stuff like that. So then I moved to where it was local, and that's when we went to Mall San Pedro. And we had another friend that lived very close by. Yeah, they were closed, and then well, we saw something that I personally never seen until
well, it's something I had never seen as well, and I don't know if you know in those movies like where you kind of like the character turns around and the music starts playing and time kind of slows down and there's like light shining out and it's just something beautiful, magical. Well, that's kind of what happened because when these lady boys were closed for offering their services as haircuts, we went a little bit further down Mall San Pedro to down there, the hall on the left, and that's when we met this lady.
The haircut princess.
And we called her the haircut princess. Do you want to describe what that meant to you when you first saw her?
Well, I think it was just that we were so used to lady boys doing it, and I can't really remember what she looks like, but what I can remember is what she did to my hair, and it was fantastic haircuts, you know, because normally I do almost at the time I was doing the same haircut because I had a job that needed me to have a decent haircut, not long and stuff like that. So I'd get it cut quite often. But in the previous people would do it fine, but when she did it, it was just fantastic, and it came with a shampoo because the other place didn't come with a shampoo, and to me, a shampoo is an important part of a haircut.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know if you remember this. Not only her delicate fingers shampooing her hair, but that sweet smell of her skin.
I think that was a cologne or perfume.
It was like cucumber melon. I don't even know what it was.
Probably cucumber melon.
It's
That's
probably
a popular fragrance.
I mean, all haircut princesses, I think, wear cucumber melon.
Michael, since we have you here, can you look up is cucumber melon one of the top selling fragrances for women?
All right.
Thank you.
So yeah, we had the haircut princess, and I don't know if you remember this either. We would go, I don't know, maybe once a month or whatever it was, and then one day we went to go to haircut princess, and she was gone.
She had been taken away to Neverland.
So basically what I found is there's all kinds of fragrances. We got flower scents, we have sprays, we have candles.
What are you looking?
And we have
What are you looking?
and we have essential oil, cucumber melon oils. You know, that's always good to sprinkle in some water.
I bet you she had all of those.
And it wasn't too much or too little. It was just perfect.
No, because that can be a big issue. Especially, you know, it's not really Latin women, but the men.
Well, Latin women just always smell delicious.
That's true.
So that was kind of, I guess, my first haircut experiences with you. Have you had any other kind of interesting ones that maybe you want to talk about?
Well, I want to talk about my haircuts when I moved to Colombia because Colombians give the best haircuts, and I've since moved to Mexico, and no offense to Mexico, but I have garbage haircuts now, and that's why when I went down to Colombia, I was really looking forward. I was down there for a week and a half. I was down there with my fiance, and I was really looking forward to getting a haircut. Unfortunately, all I got was drunk, but
weird.
I know. Well, it was festival. It's a different time. I actually did have a medical exam, so I guess, and the doctor was drinking. He was a nice guy, but you know, but it's festival. Like, I think a lot of people we're going to definitely have a festival episode. But anyhow, so I would get haircuts in Colombia, and then I still didn't know really how to get a haircut because then I moved from Costa Rica to the coast of Colombia, and it all happened really fast. And then on the coast of Colombia, they speak a different type of Spanish, and that's a different thing altogether. So I would get my haircut, but what they do is they actually do it legit. Where okay, and I want to say this: I know in every country you can get a fantastic haircut, but I'm talking about I get the equivalent of supercuts everywhere I go. I'm not spending a lot of money because I don't have a lot of money. I'd rather invest it on travel and stuff like that. But they would give you the haircut, like they'd etch you up really good, and then they go around with a razor on every part, so it just looks fantastic, like straight lines. And I always got like the seven or the la siete. And my favorite haircut was in this little corner, and it was by this guy that had used to, or his brother lived in the States, so he really liked that I would come there because the town I was living in there wasn't a lot of gringos. And I self-identify as a gringo, by the way. I just want to clear that up that gringos some people find it offensive, but I find it just correct, So
Yeah, I think we all accept who we are, and that would be a gringo.
a gringo, yeah, like, I just wanted to clear that up.
Whoopsie.
Whoopsie gringo. Anyhow, and he would give fantastic haircuts on the side of the road, and he had this huge mural of like an eagle with an American flag, but he would actually change it every now and then. He was a fantastic painter as well. And I showed you that place last time, and I said that's where we're going to get the haircut.
Yeah, can I give like a little bit of a personal account of this place?
Yeah.
So imagine like you're just driving on a normal road, like a kind of small town somewhere.
Yeah.
And then on the side of this corner of this busy street, you just see a guy with a chair where he's hung up on this fence next to it, a mirror and a flag and the mural like you're talking about. And he's just cutting hair, man, on the side of the road.
And I'm telling you, that's the best haircut. I mean, I loved Haircut Princess, but that was for aesthetic reasons. But there.
What did he smell like?
He smelled like he was hustling, like maybe like a Rick Ross riding a boat into the port of Miami. That's not bad, but like hustling, like straight up, like he's making money. He gets you in, out fast. You wait there. Super nice people. I will say Colombians are super nice. Michael said Costa Ricans were super nice. Colombians as well.
Oh yeah.
And he got it done. And we never got those haircuts. But what about the time, Brian, that we did get haircuts in Santa Marta together?
Oh, you were talking about when we got a little bit drunk in the afternoon and it seemed like a good idea? And I think it was a good idea.
Yeah, I think it was the best idea. I mean, we were looking sloppy.
So, well, the night before, we were trying to go out and have a really big night, but everything was just shut down, like dead.
Yeah, nothing. It was a Puente. It was like a big holiday, right?
It was a holiday weekend, so everyone, I guess, was at church. I don't know. It was dead, except for Chris and I found booze, and we found somewhere to drink it, and that's
the beach. It was right off the beach. Beautiful.
It was right on the beach, yeah. And we were drinking, and that next morning we got up and a little bit tired, a little bit hungover. So obviously the best thing to do when you're tired and hungover is what, Chris?
I would say drink a 40 of Aguila.
Yeah, so we got the biggest beers we could find, and we kept drinking. And we popped in this little haircut place kind of randomly. And we're like, you know what? We're here. Maybe we'll find Haircut Princess in Colombia.
Exactly.
Well, instead we found Haircut Grandma.
Yeah, and when we walked into the place, number one, it smelled like the chemicals of haircutting.
It wasn't cucumber melon.
It was not cucumber melon. But when we walked in, the people were like, kind of like, why are you here?
Yeah, and then we sat down and we kind of told them what we wanted, and it's kind of like the Cristiano Ronaldo style where it's
like poofy in the front, short on the sides,
kind of shaved on the sides, and they call it the siete because it kind of looks like a 7 going like down your head, almost like mullet style on the back.
Yeah, there's a little bit of mullet. I would always get mine from mullet to rat tail. Like, I think you went with a mullet, and I would always get it kind of shaved into the side, and then we go down to rat tail. I'm touching my head now, like people can see. So if you can see, which you can't, but here, imagine I'm going down into a rat tail, caressing my hair right now, and I don't have a rat tail right now. I wish I did.
Can I say something about rat tails real quick?
What's that?
I've always wanted a rat tail, like when I was little, because like growing up in school, man, like all the kids,
especially in Georgia. especially
Well, in Georgia and North Carolina, the
Okay.
kids had giant rat tails, and those are always like the bad kids in the class, but they were always like the coolest kids. And I think it's because their parents didn't care about them as much, so they let them get like awful haircuts like a rat tail. In my perspective, at that time of my life, and as I grew older, and then I realized those kids really know what's going on because rat tails, I think, are where it's at.
I disagree with that. I'm sorry. I've always felt like my rat tail looked like I had something like deformed on the back of my head.
Well, Michael, I don't think you have the haircut experiences that we do. I don't know if you remember that time you got the haircut at the beach. That I think I gave you that haircut.
No, it was Lauren's ex-boyfriend.
Ah, it was Bradley.
Let's get him on. Can we get him on? Michael, can you call him right now and see if he can come on right
Of course.
Well, Michael, why don't you tell us about your little experience there?
So it was about a couple years ago, 5 years ago. And I was thinking, it's really hot outside, so I want a buzz cut, like what every white kid wanted when they were 9. And Bradley had a haircut kit and said, "I can cut your hair." So I'm like, "Yeah, that's great. That's great." So I get a haircut outside in a chair. Everyone's watching me. All the neighbors come, I swear. And he shaves half my head. And then for some reason, I'm thinking, all right, I want to see what I look like. And I look at myself. And the first thing that comes to my head is, I look like a lesbian. And, and we
Do you know like
finished it.
those like butch girls that show up for like softball practice or that want to beat you in like a game of horse or something?
Or like if you ever worked retail, the lady that comes in that you know is already going to complain, that lady.
All I needed was gauges and like a V-neck cut-off T-shirt, and
And a girlfriend.
Yeah, and I need a girlfriend that I can like have around my arm.
Have around you.
So we really can't take Michael's opinions about rat tails and mullets too seriously because his haircut experiences haven't been as great as ours.
And I think right now, if you were living in the U.S., because I did go back to the States for Christmas, and I had a rat tail. Not a rat tail, but a little bit going, and my friends were like, "What the fuck is that?" And I'm like, wait a minute. You don't know me. Like, come on, this is cool where I'm from. Like, leave me alone,
Yeah.
So I think the haircut also is like where you are. Like, I'm about to make a move to Asia, and I can't wait to get a bowl cut. Like, I'm into it. Like, I'm gonna embrace it. Like, here I am. Hear me roar, like Katy Perry style. Yeah,
Hey.
exactly. Like, here's my bowl cut. Or even our avatar, like Kim Jong-un. Like, okay, I don't like the guy, but
He might have something going on with that hair.
exactly. I mean, maybe it makes him crazy, or maybe it makes people like him that shouldn't like him because he's a dictator. But still, but I think my favorite thing about the haircut in Santa Marta was when we got the haircut. We were definitely at a woman's salon, Probably the only two guys, and like you said. You can go to Santa Marta, and you can go to Taiganga and Tayrona, and you can just see a whole bunch of people smoking pot that are down there that are there to like, I'm here to see Colombia, and they go on like a 4-hour hike, and then they get high, camp out for 6 days, and then they fly back to the States or to Europe or to wherever. But we were in like, and Santa Marta is a dangerous place, but we didn't mind because we can get around, and they were just so amazed that they were there, and they were so happy to cut my hair, and it felt like they took the time. Because if you're a dude and you get a haircut that's more than like 5 minutes, like you're lucky, right? Is that true?
Right. Agreed.
Yeah, it's like I'm paying you $10. That's less than $1 a minute. Like I don't make that, So, and we looked good. And I remember that night we met some of our mutual friends that hopefully we'll have on the show later. And we met them at a burger place. And by this time, we were definitely ready to go out because everything was finally kicking off. We'd come from Medellin, right? Like
Yeah.
together. We come from Medellin, and now we're in Santa Marta, and everything's kicking off. And we're in the center of Santa Marta, and we're ready to go. And I remember we didn't know how to get back to the hotel room or something like that. We didn't have time because we have to go out. And I remember buying gel from a dude on the street. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And actually, I'll try to post it later. But there's a picture of us in a burger place that had some good burgers. They were stuffed burgers. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, in a stuffed burger place. getting our gel in the hair, getting everything ready because we looked pretty good. You know, I don't want to brag too much.
Well, and I don't think that was just our opinion. I think,
No, exactly. Like we had gotten some compliments on those haircuts. Like maybe they were like, oh, nice haircut, but I don't care. I'll embrace it.
and our USA sunglasses. I mean, we were looking.
Yes, and we
pretty
both had American flag sunglasses because it was right before the World Cup was going to start, and we're
True.
very, very into U.S. soccer.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm thinking about our plan is to go to World Cup, but if we do, we got to get Pulisic haircuts. Whatever he has, I'm getting it.
We got to get haircuts.
I have dark brown hair, but I will dye it blondish for him because he is the next Messiah, I think.
Oh,
And I think I'm just going to keep the Asian bowl cut.
The Asian bowl cut, you can keep it. I mean, you know, that's fine. Or you could go with like a Cuadrado, I think, from Colombian soccer team. That would be nice. So I think we have more to talk about on haircuts, but I think we can save that for later. Correct?
Yeah, and I think today, because it's our first one, just kind of an intro. And I think those stories kind of show that we're kind of just traveling around doing something that's a little bit more different. You know, we're not just buying the bracelets or trying to get the weird pictures with those statues, but we're trying to jump in, and that's been really, really good for us. But it's also put us in some really, really weird situations at the same time.
Exactly, and I think that we've also met some awesome people that are doing some great things, and I think it would be good to get them on here. And we want to have definitely people want to be on here because we like to talk, but we also would love to hear some stories and maybe even some bits, like comedy bits and things like that. Yeah,
we're kind of open to whatever, and just having a good time chatting and keeping in touch with each other, but at the same time keeping in touch with all y'all and see what y'all have to say as well.
I do have going back to haircuts. I do have a quick question. So it's always like a myth. I've never heard anybody have this happen to them. But like, you know, when you're a kid, you're afraid that somebody's gonna like cut your ear off.
I have a story for this.
You have a story for that? All right, let's hear the story.
So I lived in a smallish town outside of Atlanta, and we had a barber shop that was like the famous thing, had the red and white spinny thing outside. I don't even know what that's called. And it had the chair that made noises, and it had like everything was very antique. And we had a haircut. Brian actually went to this as well, and his name was Cecil. And this is like the stereotypical old man. Had that old man smell. Smells like cigars and booze, and
just like
a little bit of like brute body spray.
Smelled like he smoked about a whole pack of cigars. And he when I was little, like super little, he was very very good. Always got buzz cuts because I was lame. Back to the haircut from earlier, but he over the years started to deteriorate. Definitely, haircuts got a little worse, and I always thought, oh, he's just getting old. But I went in there one day, and this man sat down like normal, and I smell alcohol on him. So I'm thinking, oh, it's just old man smell, No
maybe he's drinking that blue liquid that the combs go in.
Ooh, I like that. I'm gonna assume Cecil did that.
Yeah, he was an interesting guy, but he was going around. How you get the top cut first and the sides are last, and he was cutting, and he pulled down my ear, and he had a razor with no guard on it.
Oh,
this man cut my ear, and at first I kind of thought, like, I was a very sensitive little kid, so I thought, oh god, like I'm dying. Like I didn't know what just happened. I thought I just got shot or something. So I'm sitting there freaking out, hold my ear, and this man doesn't even apologize. He just keeps on going. And I look over, and the razor is red. And I have to tell this man, he's probably drunk. I have to tell him, you just cut my ear, sir. And he goes, oh, I'm sorry. And then he just kept on cutting, didn't even clean it off.
Well, there's another thing about Cecil. He was inaudible. You couldn't understand anything he said. Like even like when he was like, "Hey man, how's it? Like how you doing today?" Like, "Oh no, I'm doing no." Like kind of like a boomhauer, but a little bit higher.
Oh, nice.
And so you had to like say what, like 15 times, and finally you get tired of saying what, so you just like, "Oh yeah."
I'm pretty sure he fought in World War II. That man was old. Like
he was also
super old.
Super old. So Michael, I actually know what the barber pole represents.
Oh yeah.
You know this. All right. So a long time ago, barbers were more than just barbers. They didn't just give haircuts. They also did bloodletting because they were like almost surgeons at that. So
Wow.
the red is actually representative of blood, and the white is like a bandage or like a band-aid or something like that. So where they would like heal your, like, put over your wound. I don't know what the blue.
Cecil was obviously the opposite of that because he cut me. And
Well, he
cleaned
was just trying to let some blood from you, dude. Like, maybe he thought you were giving off some harsh vibes, and he was like, let's just get
I
rid
think
of
he
some of
was
his
sick of
blood.
giving me haircuts that were buzz cuts. He's probably like, this guy needs to learn a lesson, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, it was
Probably.
an interesting. That was the last time we went to Cecil, and I've never.
That was the
seen
last
him
time.
since.
Yeah. God bless him.
Yeah, hopefully he's all right. I don't think he is, but if he is, God bless Cecil.
God bless Cecil. There's that.
So, in the future, Michael, I'm going to tell you the story of my grandfather who was in World War II as well, and he actually didn't have an ear.
Oh
He
wow,
lost it. He lost it.
people couldn't cut him, so he should go to see Cecil.
He cut his hair in
Maybe
Yeah, Norman.
maybe he was on the same boat as Cecil. Like, like that would be, I guess. All right. So Brian and Michael, I think we should probably wrap it up here and just keep it short, keep it simple. But we should talk about what we're going to talk about next week. Brian, what do you think we should talk about next week besides haircuts? Because I think haircuts will always come up. Because
Well, haircuts have a special place in our hearts and kind of a traumatic place in Michael's heart. But
Praise him.
I think since it's been kind of recent for us, we've been to a festival. We've been to a lot of festivals together. We've always had a good time, and they've always called for more exciting and weird drunken stories. Maybe we should talk about that.
festivals, I like that. Yeah, we could talk about the festivals in Costa Rica. I mean, probably one of the more impressive Shaggy concerts that anybody's ever been to.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and then
love
Nicky Jam, that was recent.
Okay.
Carlos Vives, yeah, and I think that would be good. We can talk about like actual like cultural festivals too, like the Festival of Flowers, the actual cultural part of Festival Vallenato,
Right.
the water festival ish thing that we went to in Costa Rica, and then we can talk about the hippie festival.
Yeah. Then the night we all got really weird. I learned how to hula hoop.
Of course.
And
Didn't they write a song called Hula Hoop after you? Isn't that what I'm assuming?
I think Daddy Yankee heard about my experiences and definitely wrote
and wrote about that. So that's a preview of what's to come. And should we hand it over to Michael and he can get us out of here?
Yeah.
Michael, take us out.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for tuning in to the Whoopsie Gringo podcast. Follow us on Twitter. It's just Whoopsie Gringo, and get all the latest news and information to know about what we're doing. And share this with all your friends and family because why not? It's free and go learn more about cool things. And tune in next week to hear about more stories. And always stay tuned and peace out.